Friday, May 14th, 2010. I'm Dave. This is daveinthemorning.com. Wow, how are you? It's Casual Friday here. Maybe around the golf this afternoon if the weather cooperates. I am jacked right now. I have had one full cup of this already and I am on my second and about halfway done with it and I am just wired. Wow, coffee's great. I like it. Saw a video yesterday of the oil leak in the Gulf. You know what? It's an oil spew. It is spewing out of that pipe into the ocean like it hasn't seen the ocean for 6 months. I mean, wow. It's coming out 200,000 gallons plus a day into the ecosystem. Not good. The guys on the Hill are asking the guys that are in charge of the companies that are responsible for the drilling if it's their fault. And you know what they're saying? Yeah, I don't know anything about it. Not my fault, might be his. So they asked the next guy and he said, no, not my fault. Could be his, on down the line. Well, let's go back and look at who, when they put the permit in to drill, they're supposed to go out, checked and environmentally sound and all that. And BP puts their permit in and says they want to drill this place 47 miles off the coast. And our government says, not a problem. We trust you. So no one was doing their job, okay? And then maybe a little negligence on the part of these companies and some mishaps and accidents happen. Oops, spilled a little milk into the Gulf and an ecosystem is getting destroyed. So the lesson is even though politicians are screaming drill baby drill and we think it's safe, 99.9% safe, that 0.01% is pretty freaking big. Okay, the Gulf of Mexico is getting beat up right now. Speaking of Mexico, Mexico has put a travel advisory against Arizona. So it's telling its citizens, do not travel to Arizona. And apparently they're not. The border crossings from Mexico to Arizona for Mexicans, which would normally take them approximately 2 hours to get into Arizona from Mexico, now take approximately that fast. Why? No one wants to go to Arizona. They're told not to. And along those lines, some of the unions, trade unions of workers, which are what unions are usually made of, are saying we don't want to do anything with Arizona. And one of those unions includes Major League Baseball. Okay, the Players Association has said they don't want to have the All-Star game in Arizona in 2011. Okay, so baseball is looking at that. They also said we don't want to do spring training in Arizona anymore because we think they're racist. So that's more money. Several cities have said we don't want to do anything with Arizona, no trade with Arizona, including Los Angeles, San Francisco. And San Francisco is kind of funny because when San Francisco said, hey, we're cutting off Arizona, the pundits were like Arizona cares if San Francisco doesn't do anything with them because, they don't even like San Francisco guys because, like, San Francisco guys are, like, gay, and really, really liberal. Well, they also have a lot of money. So now they're not going to spend any on Arizona, okay? And other cities, St. Paul, Boston, etc., and the list is growing, are boycotting Arizona. So this governor there passed this law because the federal government has been negligent in their responsibility to secure our borders and have some sort of rational immigration policy federally. Arizona was forced to act individually as a state to kind of take care of the problem themselves. I'm not saying I agree with what Arizona did. I'm just saying I understand the process of what brought them to the point where they felt like they had to do it. And then you throw politics on top of it. And what are the politics there? Well, the governor was getting her ass kicked in the primaries. And even though she would probably win the primary, okay? When she came up against her opponent, this guy Goddard, who's a state's attorney in Arizona, she was way down in the polls. This lady is not a popular governor. She's just not. Okay, Brewer, I guess is her name. Arizona's economy is a basket case. It's a freaking mess. Of housing markets that have collapsed, Arizona's right at the top of the list. It is a disaster. Okay, and now you put these boycotts on top of it. All right, not good, Governor. Really not thought out policy. Okay, so you're going to have some issues. You're going to have backlash against you. And you might end up with a Democratic governor from the state that just passed this immigration law that everybody's talking this really right-wing state. I think it's unusual, and it's kind of cool to follow from not inside Arizona. Okay? McCain's in the race down there, and he's being painted as this far left guy by his opponent Hayworth. Now McCain's way up in the polls, and I don't think this Hayworth guy has a chance. But it's interesting to see that this Tea Party type of follower guy is getting killed by McCain, and who's this really old guy. And speaking of really old guys, Arlen Specter up in Pennsylvania. I don't know if he's a Republican or Democrat right now. I do. He switched to Democrats. Arlen can't remember whether he's a Republican or Democrat, which is going to cause him some problems in his primary. And it is. He was way up in the polls and he slipped down in the polls. Arlen, you need to figure out if you're really a Republican or if you're really a Democrat. And the problem with that is he switched parties, Chris is switching parties, Lieberman switched. Why do these guys switch parties? Okay? Because they can't get elected. But if they can't get elected, they don't really represent the party, right? Maybe. But it seems to me that most politicians, including the governor there maybe, and maybe this person, and maybe Specter, don't really care about the people. They like the power. They like their job, okay? And, you know, it's kind of like, help me, help me. That's what I think what they think. I don't think it's like help me, help you. It's help me, help me. And I'm about tired of the politicians like that. So I think most Americans are. And prior to politicians, I read a book this week called The Ides-of-March. It's a very good book. Okay, it's not by Thornton Wilder. It's by this guy named Manfredi, who's an Italian guy. And in case you don't know it, the Ides-of-March takes place in 44 BC. And the Ides-of-March is the middle of March, 15th of March. And on that day, Julius Caesar was assassinated by the Senate. Okay, at the front of the Theater of Pompeii in the portico area. He was whacked. And so you know the story before you start reading it, or you should. And he does a nice job. It's a good story. I recommend this book. Nice piece of historical fiction here. By that I mean he takes history and then he adds some fiction to it to make it a readable story. Nice book. I recommend it. Okay. And while I was reading it, I was thinking of, you know, my mausoleum. This is a Colosseum. I guess it's falling down in Rome right now. I don't know what they're going to do with it. That came after Julius Caesar, but it's there in Rome, and hopefully you'll still be able to visit it, because that's where Russell Crowe, you know, fought in Gladiator. And you want to see where Russell Crowe fought in Gladiator. You know, Russell Crowe's a pretty good actor. He's done a lot of good movies. One of my favorite is Master and Commander that I watched last night, and I really enjoyed that. He has a movie coming out today, Robin Hood. And if it's like some of his other movies, the performance will be pretty good. It looks like it's a great story, a lot of action and adventure, and kind of a guy's flick. And they've thrown some stuff in there for the ladies, it looks like. So if you check out Robin Hood, okay. You know, a buddy came in the other day, and he has kind of gray hair like I have gray hair. Well, he had gray hair like I have gray hair, and now all of a sudden his hair is black. Looks like he took shoe polish and ran it through. I didn't say anything to him because I don't think it was appropriate for me to say anything at that time. But the dude dyed his hair. And why do guys dye their hair? I mean, a question. And I think it's for vanity so that they look younger. But the reality is, as guys get older, our hair turns gray, and it starts to fall out, and it starts growing in spots it never grew before. That's just what happens. So if you dye it, you may look younger for a little while, I guess, but it looks stupid most of the time. So dudes, just go gray, man. It's distinguished, meaning old. You're old. If you have gray hair, you're probably old. And if you're a young guy with gray hair, it kind of looks cool. So go with it. That's my opinion. I don't know. You might like your hair looking like a dark shoe. All I have today. Thanks for watching DaveInTheMorning.com, and we'll see you again on Monday. Have a great weekend, folks. Thanks.